Well, this is Cynthia Borsellino. Welcome back to Beloved Unveiled, where we enjoy sharing God stories and how we're being transformed more like Him, and just getting His heart for our lives and who He really is, unveiling His heart for us and unveiling um, his vision, his purpose into our lives as we connect with him. And we get to share those stories. And today I thought I would share a little bit. I've been writing this book called I Am Truly Loved, and it's about breaking off generational curses and iniquities that kind of and from childhood traumas. And so that's kind of what the story is. It's my story, and I share about how the Lord walked me through each season of my life through healing. I didn't really get my healing until I was in my 30s, in my late 30s. And guess came to know Jesus when I was 19, but it took a long time. The Lord is faithful. He takes back the ground that's been stolen from us little by little, mainly because we can't our belief systems don't line up with his truth or his word and his heavenly realm. And so he knows what it's going to take to get us to understand more fully about who he is and his kingdom. And so today I was going to share a little part. I'm in chapter 6. It's been a long, almost 2 years of writing this book because I want to be very intentional in the things that he's sharing with me and what he's done in my life, as far as remembering all that he's walked me through. And so when I share some of the stories that I will even today, it's like we're all in a different season, we're all in a different place. And so I don't want to sound or to let everyone know that they have their journey to walk through too. So hopefully that this will just maybe be a little spark to maybe say, I want to seek him more. I want to know him more. I want to know his ways. I want to be whole and healed and walking in his love and mercy on a daily basis. And so the one in chapter 6 is called the intentions of the heart. And this was a season of my life where God was teaching me about the intention of my heart. And it's about intercession and vengeance. And he had given me the scripture in Isaiah 63:4 about, for the day of vengeance against ungodliness was in my heart. In my year of redemption of those who put their trust in me, the year of my redeemed has come. And I felt like God was speaking to me to say that his vengeance against ungodliness was us trusting in him and getting to know him, and that we get delivered and set free from, the ungodliness. And it was amazing that I thought vengeance was the way I wanted it to be, was to hold, to see people suffer the way I suffered. Um, and so it took a while for me to understand what he was wanting to show me through this season. And I started looking up like the word intent. What did the word intent mean? I looked in Webster's 1828, which is where I go to a lot to find out things in the original Webster's 1828, the Merriam dictionary. And it's kind of like the intent is having the mind where you're strained or bent on an object, you're fixed closely on it. And what I was seeing that some of my intents was that I was still fixed and I was bent towards the darkness that I had been in or encountered or experienced. And God was teaching me to bend and have the intent towards his kingdom, towards who he is and his word, and to, you know, bending back towards really what he created me to be and who he created me to be. And so this began a season in my life at that time of cleansing and renewing my mind in areas that I never even anticipated or even planned for. Um, and things begin to stand out for me. It's like when he's shining the light in a dark place for you, he begins to make it more aware that you're aware of it. And I was having these, um, just different things that were happening in encounters I was having with people or even in church. And I, I was just amazed. And so the word vengeance kept coming up. Like, what's the vengeance, Lord? And so I decided to look that word up in the Webster's dictionary. And it's about where vengeance was in the dictionary. It said infliction of pain on another in return for an injury or offense. And such inflection, when it proceeds from malice or more resentment, and is not necessary for the purposes of justice, but is revenge. So vengeance was like revenge. It wasn't the purpose of justice. And I started thinking about that. It's like, wow, I'm not wanting justice? And so I thought I was, but the vengeance that I was being um, drawn towards was more in my heart, was that I wanted revenge. And so I started going through more healing and felt that God was hearing the cries of my heart in that, and I wasn't feeling slammed or um, condemned or like feeling guilty or shame when I would talk through this with him. It was like he was showing me some answers for some of the struggles I was still having in regards to men, in regards to women, and too, in regards to the church, because I was also harmed in the church. And it's like, um, I I didn't realize that I was having this thought of revenge instead of justice. I thought it was justice, but it was God was shining the light and showing me that no, there was a deeper place there, and it really was that I wanted revenge. And so as I humbled myself before him, say, Lord, show me, teach me your ways. I want to understand your kingdom more, and I want to know what you want to teach me through this season. And and then sometimes I felt like I was going back 10 steps back and moving ahead just one. And I'm like, oh my gosh, here I am going backwards again. And after everything you've done for me, Lord, I keep seeing something more wrong with me or something that, I'm struggling. And I was just getting a little frustrated and a little angry. And then I brought it to the Lord and I said, Lord, and I think it's having those conversations openly to him to say what you're struggling in, and he can handle it, and he has a way of bringing you back to his peace and his joy. And that's what he did. When I shared with him about how I felt like I was going back 10 steps and moving one, he's like, well, the reality is you're not going backwards at all. He said, I'm bringing to light what's been buried deep within you. It's already been there. It was not gone. It was there. So you're just being shown deeper roots of your fear, of hatred, of pride, of your hurt, of your bitterness, and you're showing me more of for what they actually are, and the strongholds in my mind. So he said, truthfully, you're not going backwards at all. And there was a moment where I felt this joy come on me, and I kind of started laughing a little bit because it was like, and I felt him laughing. It was like, he's like, you're not going backward. It was always there. I'm just bringing it to the light so you can get healing. You can move forward. And so I realized that that was a new place of like moving from glory to glory. That's what he was teaching me about my belief systems that he wanted to free me from. And I realized that I wanted validation for all that I went through. And he reminded me in Joel, he took me to the book in Joel 2:25, where it says, I will compensate you for the years that the swarming locust has eaten, the creeping locust, the stripping locust, and the gnawing locust, my great army which I sent among you. And he said he was going to compensate me for that. And like it it kind of brought me an attention as like just thinking about the locust, the creeping, the stripping, the gnawing, all those things that kept coming against me in my emotions and my daily thought processes. And like, Lord, you're going to compensate me for that. What does that look like? What does that mean? And then that's when he gave me this word about intercession. And what did he want to, what was he teaching me about intercession? What did he want me to know about intercession? And again, I went to the Webster's and I wanted to know what did it mean? And it was the act of interceding, mediation, interposition between parties at variance. It was with a view of reconciliation. It was prayer or solicitation to one party in favor of another, sometimes against other. I started thinking about interceding for others with an intent for reconciliation. And that's what I believe he wanted me to see, was that just as what Jesus did on the cross, what he died for, everything that when he resurrected, all that was his intercession. And it speaks about that in Isaiah 53:12, where it says, Your intercession now is needless groan. Retire and let me speak with her alone. He bore the sin of many and made intercession for the transgressors. And that's in the King's Bible. I know usually will quote from the Amplified, but that popped up on me. This was the scripture they showed me way back when, so I was still in the King James back then. But um, yeah, it's like he bore the sin for us, and that he made intercession for our transgressions. And I realized that his what he was doing, he was interceding for us to be reconciled back to the Father, back what we were created for, where we were, first seen by him and desired by him, and he longs for us to know him. And so the intercession for us to be reconciled back to him and his heart and his plan. And I realized that's something that uh, when I think about others, do I want them, even with even the ones who did evil against me, the ones where I was raped, where I was almost murdered, all that stuff, the hatred that I saw in their eyes was the intent over the years as he was shifting me and changing me. And we're all guilty. We've all fallen short of the glory of God. Is that I wanted my life to be redeemed, my life to be different, to have joy back, to have peace back, and all those things. Jesus did that. He died for me so that I could enter into that place. But he didn't just die for me, he died for all of mankind. And it was in that point where I began to see a little bit more that what the enemy was doing and creeping in my mind and stripping me of my emotions and gnawing at me constantly, making me feel guilt, where I was still looking at the guilt and the condemnation of all that had been done. And what I had done also was that Jesus was interceding for me. So today I'm hoping that this might spark a new place in you, that are we really interceding for others to be reconciled to the Father, to know Jesus Christ and all that he did for us. So bless you this day, and love to hear some of those God stories. You can reach out to me at belovedunveiled@protonmail.com.